The story begins in the dark, rotten streets of Tokyo, where crime breeds and predators consider their nature a form of worship. But this time, even the hunter is scared because a name has begun to float in the city's air. Ichi, everything begins at a gathering where the Yakuza gang is sitting without their boss. Anjo, alcohol is flowing, cigarette smoke, women's laughter, but a shadow hangs over everyone's face. No one knows where Ojo is. A cut scene opens. A boy is standing outside a building. His eyes are fixed on a balcony on a room where a girl is being beaten like an animal. Inside that room, a prostitute, a pimp, a beast is staring at the girl's body. But the one watching from outside is no angel either. It is Ichi, and what is Ichi doing? He is standing masturbating seeing that scene. Yes, that is Ichi. There is no fear in his mind, only hunger for blood, revenge, and power. The next morning, Oso's house is stained with blood, the walls are red, and not a single body part is left untouched. But the strange thing is that the cleaning is as if nothing has happened. Three murder cleaners arrive to cover everything up, and then enters Kakihara, white hair stellar on his cheeks, brutality in his eyes. The shadow of a Yakuza gang that revels in pain, smiling even at the thought of inflicting pain, tears. His guru was his god, and now he is gone. Kakihara suspects that Ozo might have run off with a girl. He goes to the nightclub where Ozo's girlfriend Karen works. But Karen doesn't know anything. That is where he meets Jiri, an old, quiet but poisonous man who is manipulating everyone behind the scenes. Now the story picks up speed. A Yakuza member named Suzuki is captured. He is hung upside down. Needles are inserted into his skin. Iron nails are driven into his mouth. But still, the only answer on his lips is, "I don't know anything." Kakihara is going crazy. He wants revenge. He wants answers. But the seeds Gigi has sown are beginning to blossom. Kakihara doesn't know, but the person he is looking for is very close to him. Meanwhile, Ichi is also beginning to open up. He goes to a protest site to the same girl who was being beaten in the first scene and tells her, "I enjoy killing and raping people." There is no shame or mercy in his eyes. There is just that hunger that turns a person into a monster. But this is just the beginning of his story. Blood is yet to be shed, and Ichi's true identity is yet to be revealed. This tale of bloodshed, pain, and revenge is now beginning to deepen. Kakihara has crossed the limits of obsession. His face, the bruised cheeks, the madness in his eyes, and the severed tongue all scream out loud. No, only death is his cure. He needs answers to Ojo's death at any cost, and only Ichi can provide that answer, a name that makes the soul tremble. Now, the true hero of the story emerges, Gigi, this man, an old frail man in appearance. But his mind was so cunning that even the devil would fear him. He had broken Ichi since childhood, turning him into a weapon that could only be controlled by his fingertips. Ichi's mind was filled with brief memories of Gigi, like the cruelty he suffered as a child, as if he had killed his parents himself. But the reality was something else. It was all a game planned by Gigi, just to drive Ichi mad and get him to kill people. Now the real player in the story is revealed. Ichi, at Gigi's behest, had gone after Kakihara's gang. The apartment he entered contained those three men, all gang members. But Ichi had been told that these were the ones who ruined his childhood, and Ichi's madness followed him like a shadow. He killed them all one by one, leaving rivers of blood untouched. Kakihara, on the other hand, was finding only corpses. Every time he went, he saw the mutilated bodies of his gang members and blood streaming down the walls. Now his patience was wearing thin. He knew this couldn't be the work of an ordinary person. Someone was planning and eliminating them one by one. Then he arrived at the place where he'd first seen Ichi's shadow. But Ichi himself didn't appear. His presence simply lingered in the air like a ghost or apocalypse. Meanwhile, Ajeshi, an innocent child, had seen more than his years. His father was a member of Kakihara's gang, and look at the coincidence. One day, Kakanoka saved Ichi's life. He fed him noodles. He sat and talked with him, not knowing that the one he was saving was bringing destruction to him. It was the silence that comes before a storm. Now it was time for the prey and the predator to face off. But Kakihara needed a way to reach Ichi, and that path was a prostitute named Momo, from whom he could learn something about Ichi. But this path was not easy. Momo was unwilling to speak, and Kakihara, with his pet detectives Zoro and Sabu, tortured her in a way that would send shivers down the spine of onlookers. Her nipples were cut off, she was stabbed in the face. Finally, Momo died. The story was unstoppable. The only one left was Long, who worked for Gigi. Kakihara captured him. He chopped off his hands. He tried his best to get him to reveal details about Gigi, but Long remained silent. Meanwhile, Gigi was still busy with his schemes. He was also luring Karen into his affairs. She was also sent to Ichi so that he could seduce her and take complete control of her. The story was at a turning point from which there was no turning back. What would happen next? Noichi Kakihara and Gigi would come face to face. Would Ichi break free from his false memories, or, like every human being, would he succumb to his madness? Ichi stood at the edge of the roof, blood on his hands, the ground shaking at his feet, and darkness in his eyes. Kakihara stood before him. A smile clung to his face, as if kissing the call of death. "Come on, Ichi! Kill me! I want pain! I want your love!" he screamed. But Ichi was lost in a different world. Takeshi's corpse still dangled before his eyes, and the hot blood gushing from Kaneko's neck burned his soul. Gigi's false memories now stung like reality. He was in no condition to move. Kakihara tried to grab Ichi, but then he himself stumbled. His ears were bleeding. His mind was still wondering if Ichi had really touched him, or was it all just a hallucination, the madness of his imagination? And then, without thinking, Kakihara climbed the railing and threw himself down. Not a scream, but a strange laugh escaped his throat. Ichi stood there, alone, broken, and empty inside. Seeing Kakihara's fallen body, Gigi came. He watched silently, as if watching the last move of an unfinished chess game. But then a shadow appeared from behind him. Takeshi had grown up. His eyes were no longer innocent. He knew that Gigi had killed his father, ruined his childhood, and created the psycho killer who had once come to his rescue. "Your game is over," Gigi Takeshi said, and pushed him back. Gigi's body hung, dangling from the tree's branches, waving quietly in the breeze. Years later, the schoolchildren were on a rampage. Passing along that old forest path, a child cried out, "Look, there is someone hanging from that tree!" Fear filled the children's eyes. But one child remained standing there. Takeshi had grown up. There was no surprise in his eyes. He just stared at that corpse, that end, that past, and somewhere far away, a crazy, broken-hearted Ichi sat in a corner, still struggling with himself. Someone's voice was still calling him.